Ready, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Third Wheel. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Conway.
And I'm your other host, Hamish.
And today we are joined by Zara Zaman. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. How are you doing, Zara? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. Yes, my name is Zara. I'm 24 years old. I'm from England, specifically London. What do I do? I am a registered nurse working in the NHS. And yeah, I've always kind of grown up in London as well. I would say it's my home. I went to school in London. I studied here, went to uni, and now I work here full time. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So always London.
Yeah, Londoner. Yeah.
Did you like stay at home during uni? Or
yeah, I commuted. Yeah, the novelty of like living out during uni didn't ever appeal to me.
Oh, really?
Enough. Yeah.
What about then like during uni? Was it still was it annoying or was it like, oh, now I want to?
No, you know what? I think because my degree structure was so different to, I guess, like other degrees because we had a lot of placements integrated into the years. So it meant that there were some times I weren't even at uni for like a whole semester because I'd be on placement. So actually it worked out better because all my placements were in London. And when you're working placements, you just want to come home and chill. You don't want to have to, worry about other things. So
yeah.
I guess it kind of worked with the kind of degree that I was doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So you did like a nursing degree?
Yeah. So I did.
Would that be the right like title for the degree?
Yeah.
What's like the official title?
So it's a BSc honours in adult nursing. So I did you do specific fields when it comes to what nursing it is. So yeah, that's what I did. Did you guys both live out for uni?
Yeah. We both went Warwick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your degree, like when did you kind of know that was kind of the path you wanted to take?
I guess it happened in like a moment. Some people are like, oh, this is what I always wanted to be. And then there's others that actually just fits. So I feel like it was just something that just clicked like, okay, this is something that I want to do. Because I was set on a completely different career path. I wanted to originally study politics and economics at university. Okay. And that's what I did. My UCAS application, that's what I was kind of, doing all the extracurricular activities. What I kind of was aiming for.
Read the Economist.
Reading the Economist.
Get a subscription to it.
Yeah, exactly. Going to all these like youth council election stuff and meetings and so on. I was really passionate about it, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like in the UK, obviously it's so expensive to invest in like higher education, like $9,000 a year minimum, not even accounting for everything else. And I was like, okay, if I really want to go and study 3 to 4 years in a degree, I want to make sure I do it in something that I'm really passionate about and that I can see myself doing like on a lifelong sort of thing. And I guess the whole thing was like, oh, I want to do something that's meaningful to me. And I wasn't finding that in the original thing that I had applied for. So I took some time to kind of reflect on it. And then I came across nursing and it kind of just ticked all the boxes that I was after. And so the summer when I finished my A-levels, I withdrew my application, kind of took a bit of from university. I was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I really wanted to go to uni, but I was just like, I don't want to do that. And then, nursing came about and I applied through clearing and that's it. I went for it and that's what I did in the end.
Oh, so did you not take the summer off? I mean, the whole year off, I mean.
Nope. I just took I kind of decided before I got my results, it's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So yeah, it was I
didn't know you could do that so quickly, kind of switch.
Oh, you can't switch immediately. You have to go through clearing. So it was essentially telling universities that you're withdrawing your application. But I was waiting for results day anyway for that to happen.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it anyway. So even if I got the places that I wanted to, so I got into one of my choices, I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. So you just withdraw your application. So yeah.
So I'm guessing when you did applied for politics and economics, there were unis that you were like, okay, I want to go to this uni.
Yeah.
Did you go to the same uni for
the
nursing degree?
Different.
Completely different.
Completely different. Yeah. So I went to City University and I never even went to an open day for City University. I never even I heard of it, but I never thought this was something I wanted to do. It was just something that came up and I just thought, okay, I'll just go for it. And yeah, I'm very happy in the end.
Yeah, I always think there's been a lot more cases than I thought that people have just ended up at unis that they didn't go to open days for, because I thought like when I went Warwick, yeah, I just remember keep constantly meeting people that everyone had been to the open days and everything. I'm like, this was my insurance. This wasn't the plan. But I'm here. Yeah, then now after uni, I've been meeting people that actually haven't been to the bloody open days beforehand. I'm like, okay, see, this makes me at least feel a bit more normal here, because I'm just like, I only went to the open days for the unis I wanted to go to.
But it makes sense, doesn't it? Because like you do that, it's all that excitement when you're going to university, like, oh, you plan open days with your friends and you want to like, oh, this is what I see myself in the next 3 years. You know, that whole like Harry Potter kind of vibe where you're like, oh, this is the dream, dream university. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things where you're like, you know, you go with the flow. Sometimes what you think is what you want actually isn't. It just kind of hopefully kind of works out in the end. If not, you just have to kind of step back and think, okay, is this what I want to do? But yeah, Warwick was actually one of my options that I had. Yeah, I did like Warwick. Warwick's a nice university.
To be honest, I still loved Warwick regardless though, even though it was my insurance. I'm glad I went Warwick instead of UCL.
Disclaimer.
Is that more because of just like people you met or the actual like place?
Definitely not you, but
all right, fine.
The place in general. Living out would have been cheaper. It overtook, you know, UCL that exact year for computer science in the league table as well. So it worked out indirectly for me.
You're just holding on to that, aren't you?
Yeah.
We have to, because now every week something dodgy is coming out about Warwick. So like,
yeah,
we have to hold on to those
That's why we say at that time, innit? We
specify the time, the day. Yeah.
What is actually, how does clearing work?
Clearing's a lot more straightforward. I feel like there's this like... about clearing, because I feel like I was guilty of it. Like, you know, you just want to get into your university or that Russell Group university, the one that you've got your heart set on and so on. I think you get a lot of pressure also from universities to just aim, from sixth forms or colleges to aim for your grades and then that's it. But clearing's so straightforward and I feel like so many people do it, but no one kind of says it because of this like whole thing. But you can either do it via UCAS. I mean, this is obviously back then. I feel old saying that, but this is obviously back then. I don't know if it's changed now. But you can either do it through UCAS, or I think you can go to like individual university websites and see what the clearing options are if you've got your heart set on like a specific university. I was more like set on like browse. I was actually literally just trying to find something that speaks to me. So that's why I went through UCAS, and then everything kind of comes up, all the universities in the country, all the different courses in a specific field. So if I was focusing specifically on health, then everything kind of to do with health would come up, like childcare, nursing, health and social policy, like some degrees I'd never heard of, some universities I've never heard of either. And they're just coming up. But then you just think, oh my God, like there's so much to do. And they want you as well. So they're like, when you call up, they're very accommodating. They're like, okay, if you've got any questions, they'll put you in touch with the course director if it's necessary and so on. So I think that's what people don't realize. They actually really want you to take the course because they need to fill up their spaces. So yeah, my clearing kind of thing worked a little bit differently because to get into nursing, you have to do a certain number of examinations and tests, obviously, that you have to pass before you get a place. So even though like I had the grades for it and everything, they were still like, okay, you need to come in, you need to do a phone interview with one of the course leads. And then if they like you, then you need to come in to do a maths and English test, a certain number of aptitude tests, clinical scenario tests, and a group interview. And only then would you be offered a place. So yeah, it was still quite intense for me. Yeah. But so it wasn't like, oh, okay, ring up, got the grades. Okay, yeah, you seem like someone who would fit our university. Okay, we'll give you a place. Nursing is a bit more like, it's essentially all the tests that you have to do if you're applying normally, like throughout the year. But they just squeeze it into one day because it's clearing.
Yeah. So, I imagine that being stressful as well if you're going for like multiple places through clearing. And then if they're all like squashing them together, that's a lot of stuff you need to do. Yeah, definitely.
Did you say anyone actually recommended the universities you applied to in clearing, or was it just your own choice, like you just went about?
I literally applied to one. And that was the one that I went to. So for me, I think I was quite set on what I wanted to do. But I noticed like some of the course mates I'd met, like, you know, you asked, so did you go to clearing or did you go through the actual formal process? And some of them were applying. I knew someone who was actually in north of England and booked all of the clearing spaces for London, and I think some just outside, and literally just did a whole week of just going to do all those interview processes and everything. And out of all the options, I think they went for about 3, like they applied for King's, City and other ones. They got like 1, and that was the one that they went to. And I was like, can you imagine the stress of like going through that whole process and then not walking away with a place in the degree that you want to do. So yeah, it can be really stressful, but I guess if it's meant to be, it will kind of work out in some way. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm really happy I didn't have to go through. I think doing like tests and all that stuff would have just, put me off massively.
Yeah, especially after doing like A-levels and stuff. Like enough with the exams until you start, I guess.
But cool. So you did the degree. Did you enjoy it? And then also going into like adult nursing, like specifically, what are kind of like the other options around?
Yeah. So I think for me, because it was intense, I would say. It was a lot more intense than I thought it would be, because nursing, degrees like nursing, midwifery, those kind of healthcare related ones, we don't just go to university, do lectures and seminars and so on. Like I said before, like we have to do placements. We also have to do things called simulation practices, so actual practical sessions as well. And on top of that, our exam structures are a little bit different as well. So yes, you have your essays and your written exams, but then we've got OSCEs, which are practical exams. And then you've got your certain competencies that you have to reach. So it's a lot to kind of juggle and then try and be a student at the same time and enjoy life. So I wasn't kind of prepared for that, because of course me going into the field was like literally in a space of like a couple of weeks of me making a decision and then like finding a place. And I was like, okay, cool. Sticking with this, going for it. And that was it. I was set on this path. But I guess the pre-hand before that, I didn't have anyone who was a nurse in my family. I didn't really know any nurses. I don't think there was anyone from my form group at sixth form who actually was going into nursing that I thought, okay, I know something about it. It was literally like, okay, on my own, YOLO, let's do this.
That's quite
let's figure it out. Yeah. But I think it was because I was very passionate about what the ethos of what nursing was, about the care side of it, about the whole practical side. And I felt like that is what was motivating me when things got really tough. In nursing, there are like so many different options within it. I say I'm an adult nurse because I only studied within the adult field. So nursing care to do with adults, people above the age of 16 onwards who are, got illnesses and so on. You get children's nurses, so they will be caring for individuals who are below the age of 16. Then you've got mental health nursing, and then you've got learning disability nursing. So you actually have to pick before you apply which one speaks to you, which one is your calling as such. And the right way to go about it is to get experience in it. So you then know, okay, this is what I want to do and so on. But yeah, there's different ways to go about it as such. So yeah.
Hamish, if you were a nurse, what field would you go into? Would it be like adult nursing, children nursing, mental health?
Learning
disabilities.
Honestly, I don't know, because I never considered like being a nurse or anything. I feel like if anything,
I think I'll do child. But then does that also like include like really small kids if they're like crying and like yelling at you and you're like,
yeah, and I imagine like, and they're poorly, obviously they're not very well. Yeah, and you might get the tantrums here, and it depends what age group you're after.
Can you even choose like a specific age group, or is like childlike, basically just anyone under the age of 18, 16?
Yeah, when you're qualified, you can. Obviously, when you're studying, you get exposure to all the different fields. Right. But children's nursing is literally from it can even be before that, like antenatal. So like when you're helping mothers who are pregnant, essentially. But essentially from birth, so from 0 days old, 1 day old or whatever, till the age of 16. Because obviously when you're 16, then you go into adult services. So children who have got like long-term conditions, perhaps they've been born with a condition, and then that would be a lifelong condition for them. They would then change at the age of 16. So yeah, you could, any age group, essentially. Yeah.
I think that might, I'm going to go with that for now, but that could probably easily change.
The thing is, like, I'd want to help the kids, but then it's also more demoralizing seeing like a kid, like if they have like a terminal illness or something. I think that's also like, that's a lot of thing. Whereas I was thinking like, if I had to choose other nursing, I'd probably go for the kids option. Otherwise, if I had to be in medicine, I'd probably do something along the lines of a paramedic. Because I feel like I'll be. Yeah. I feel like you have to keep your head like chill in very, very intense situations. And I feel like I'd be a bit more suited to that.
So essentially we've got an A&E nurse, Hamish, as if you had to go down the nursing.
In an alternate.
In another life.
But yeah.
What do you mean? Someone's going to come to you like, just got stabbed. You'd be like, what's that? That's just a scratch, mate.
No, but you see, like, if someone got hurt like near me, like generally like, or any sort of like hot anything, like usually I'm the one who has the Like in my wallet, I usually refresh the supply of like plasters and wound cleaning wipes and so on that I have here. Yeah, I've had it for like years. Even at uni, I would just refresh the thing. Yeah, so I'd always be prepared everywhere I go in it. So like I'm more probably like calm in that situation if something happens. If someone got like a bad cut.
I think we need a career change here. I feel like you've got
No.
Do you know like CPR and like all that stuff?
I mean, I had training for it, but it's well expired because it was many years ago.
Oh, but you have had training. I don't even think.
Yeah, but my training wouldn't count for anything. Although I would know a bit, it wouldn't count for shit anymore, if that makes sense. So I can't go around saying I know first aid because when you get trained, I think it lasts for 3 years, 2 years. I don't know what the current thing is, but yeah.
Zara, I'm guessing like you kind of are trained with all that kind of stuff. I'm only thinking like from the football recently when Christian Eriksen, a Danish player, like collapsed on the field. And I was like, part of me was thinking like if that like happened in my regular life, I wouldn't have a clue what to do.
Yeah.
I think everyone should like do some first aid training at some point because even if it's expired, like you at least know how to react in certain situations. You won't need to be obviously doing chest compressions, I hope, but like at least, sorting them into recovery position or like instantly like trying to pressure the wound or some shit. Like I feel like that's so important, but it's just like a thing that everyone's just like, oh, we have the paramedics that do it, but.
I'm well impressed. I'm actually really impressed by this. Like, this is not what I expected because I think, like you said, it's one of those things I think everyone should know. But even like basic things like putting someone in a recovery position, obviously that could buy a lot of time for someone who then can get like the medical attention that they love. Amazing that they can get the medical attention that they need. Right, I've been in situations where that's happened to me as a student nurse and also as a qualified, where like you just never know when it can happen on the road. And what's to say that there's a doctor or a nurse or a paramedic that's just there handy to help someone? And who knows, you could potentially save a life or at least prevent it from getting any worse than it. So
yeah, I've been thinking about that recently. I was like, I know in like how office they have like the people who are meant to be the first aid people, and so I'm like, what if none of them were about like at least everyone should know the basic of applying pressure to a wound, like the very basic. You know what I mean?
Companies should probably like do like a an afternoon where they train. I know some probably do.
It's voluntary in it, so like you don't have to go.
Yeah. I was going to say it kind of reminds me, in like films or TV shows when like something bad happens and like, do we have a doctor here? Do we have like a nurse? At least you can like put your hand up. Hopefully that doesn't happen, like a situation like that.
No, I think that's very, very much like Hollywood, Bollywood sort of thing. Definitely not what you would hopefully be in. But I think I feel like, for example, like go back to what you're saying about children's and adult, the complex of that. For me, I think what was nice about adult nursing was the fact that I guess it was like when you're adult trained as well, you could have the option to go into children's nursing later down. But it was like, if you're a children's nurse, then you wouldn't be able to go into adult nursing because it's like a different set of training, which I thought was quite interesting. So like adult nursing kind of is more like a general sort of degree. But in the UK, our structure is so different to the rest of the world. They do general degrees where you get exposure to all the areas. But here in the UK, you have to pick before you actually, I guess, pursue the degree. It's like with, I don't know, going into finance, but then you're specifically focusing on, I don't know, one field from before you start. So I always find that a bit different than, I guess, other areas.
Okay. No, that makes a lot more sense. That's probably the smart choice then.
Well, maybe.
If you think you could potentially go between the two at some point in your career.
Yeah. It just depends. It's your personal preference, really.
Yeah. And then when you said like you're in like placement or you're like placed like on field. So is that like your first year of uni, you're just kind of like thrown in and you've got to like, you have patients who are like human, like real adults and humans that you need to kind of work with? Or is it a lot of like practice with like dummies and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, so placements are dotted around the whole year because and it's the same with like other degrees like medicine and midwifery. You have to do a certain number of hours before you get your license to practice as a qualified healthcare professional. So essentially every university is going to be different, have different degree structures. But what my university did was they didn't want us to just throw us into the deep end, essentially, because like, can you imagine just first aid? It's like you've never looked after someone who's in ill health and yet you are somewhat responsible. So my university actually did all the placements at the end of the year. So they taught you everything. And then you would go into placement, which I really liked. Obviously, every university is going to be different. And then second year and third year, your placements would be like a lot more frequent. First year is very important because the building blocks, right? First year as well, like people are just like, I don't know, they kind of, I don't know how your first year at uni. Yeah.
How was your first like placement? Like first day, like
oh, my first day.
on field?
I cried.
Really?
I literally cried. Yeah, I was so overwhelmed.
Not in front of the patients, I hope.
Oh no. This was walking out of the hospital onto the phone to my mum straight away, be like, I don't know if I could do this anymore. This is so intense and this and that. Basically, nurses work 12-hour shifts, and that was the first time I had worked a 12-hour shift from 7:30 to essentially like 8 o'clock. And that was quite intense for me. Like I had never done that before. I was really tired. And also just the first, you know, when you go into a new environment and you're meeting new people and I don't know, you got these expectations and these pressures of like, oh, I want to impress my seniors or I want to do the right thing and so on. But all in one day, like that was, I think, quite overwhelming, but it got easier. It got definitely like, you just got to get used to it. It's just adapting. And I think, yeah. On
these placements, yeah, like when you were, I guess you were just, were you shadowing or were you actually like having to nurse?
I think that's one thing got to make clear, like definitely you're shadowing as a student. You're never like kind of just left by your own, like, especially like first year and second year, you're really just trying to build core skills of like, you know, basic patient skills such as, you know, handling patient care, giving medicines, doing things like personal care, all those things that are integral to like nursing. So you're not expected to do anything beyond. You'll never be expected to do anything beyond safe practice. Third year is when your responsibilities do step up because in a year's time, you're then going to be qualified and responsible.
Yeah.
But again, you'll always be, you have to always be shadowing or you have to always be working with someone who's qualified. That's just safe practice. So yeah, you were never ever kind of left on your own sort of thing.
No, that's good. That makes sense, I think.
You know, you just told me to try to switch career into paramedic and then you're saying it's overwhelming. Right back out the window.
You know what? Paramedic side, the thing is, if you're passionate about something, I feel like it doesn't matter. Like it's going to always outweigh the hard shifts or those hard moments like that you may face. And I don't know, paramedic science, like I've always seen paramedics as the true frontliners. Like you're literally always the first ones at the scenes. You are the ones that are taking the patients to A&E if it's critical and so on. Like it's a different demanding kind of, it's a different demand, but definitely like rewarding in so many aspects. So yeah, no, go for it. If you want to do it, I guess, if computer science ever like kind of,
Hamish, I could see you as a vet, Hamish. Yeah.
A vet?
Yeah.
A vet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, potentially. But then like, I think a vet has to cover a wide variety of animals or pets.
Yeah, you want about like 5 different animals, I swear.
But like, that's not the same as wanting to have to like, I don't have to see them in a bad condition.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
just on the good days.
Basically, the reason why I would never do that is because, so in the moment, if something happened, I can like in terms of like, you know, like medically, like someone needed quickly medical attention, like, you know, they cut themselves, whatever. That's fine. I can be like the one calm, make sure it's sorted out, at least to somewhat extent till someone helps us. But I don't actually like seeing other people like getting operated on like afterwards, like in a like, you know, like something just happened situation. So I wouldn't want to be in that scenario. Like, even if I think about like me having surgery in any way, I'm like, no, I can't envision it. You know, it's just that I don't know. It's like, I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't care too much of the gory stuff, but like, I wouldn't go out my way to watch it because it's just not nice. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, fair enough. So basically, just the beginning bit. Then they don't want to know the rest. Yeah, I guess, paramedic right there. You've got the mindset.
I was like, I feel like driving as a paramedic could be a bit more fun as well because, you know, you just get to have the siren and you get to speed through traffic. But that's obviously like glorified.
You could probably buy one off eBay or something, and Amazon just siren to put on top of your car.
I'm pretty sure that's not legal.
Probably not. Cool. So like going like past uni and kind of like a bigger reason how we got in contact was like through social media. So you got an Insta page with like quite a bit of a following. You got your own YouTube channel. So yeah, I think that was something like cool we can talk about. So first of all, like the YouTube channel, why did you start one and to do with like nursing? So
my nursing page actually started from Instagram and then it kind of led later on to YouTube. And it was just really with a simple aim because when I was studying, I had so many questions, especially like to do with placement, all those things that you don't really want to ask your lecturer at university. You want to ask someone who's kind of been through that and will give like an honest answer to things as such. And I didn't really have that as a student. And I kind of turned to social media, like where they have like these healthcare pages, you know, doctors on social media or nurses and so on. But actually I found that there weren't many registered nurses, particularly in the UK, that had a page like that. So I thought, okay, fine. Like I just kind of got on with it. And then when I qualified, I then had still so many questions about being a newly qualified nurse and like kind of going into the profession, you know, different things like, what to do if I was in this situation, or, I want to pick this specialty, you know, just those things that you do when you're just kind of starting off as a new grad and so on. And again, I didn't have someone that I could kind of turn to as such. Then I kind of thought to myself, okay, I keep having these thoughts, but what's stopping me from being that person for other students or for other nurses? It's kind of like, if you want to do something, sometimes you kind of have to do it yourself. And I felt really passionate about doing that in a way that's like, okay, if this can help someone, if I felt that way as a nurse, as a student nurse, then I'm sure someone is probably going through that as well. So that's how I created my Nurse Zara _UK page. And then through that, I just took it as like a personal blog, like nothing too serious. It's just me going about my shift, going about my days, touching on important topics as well, like, for example, palliative care or things like student nursing essentials, like those things that I wanted to kind of know about when I was studying, and just putting that on a page that hopefully people can easily access. And then the page grew and the community also grew. Like I could see other nursing pages also that because you kind of dive yourself into that kind of community. And so then you find other people who've got like shared interests as well. And that's always really nice. And then YouTube came about. I had the same mindset. I was like, okay, great, got the page. But YouTube is like one of those things where you can always find an interest in something. And I found that there wasn't something for nurses in the UK particularly. Like there's a lot of media coverage on US nurses or nurses in Australia, but not really much on the UK. So again, I was like, okay, so what's stopping me from being that person and hopefully being that help for others? And yeah, that's how I went about creating the YouTube channel, which kind of goes, I don't know, works parallel to the Instagram page. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
So when did you start the Instagram page? Like, is it during university?
No, so a year pretty much after qualifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then was there like a point where it kind of blew up for you? As in like, was there like a particular post or like a particular video that you uploaded and was like, okay, this is like really done well? Or was it just a kind of general, like it just grew, like every post it started to grow a bit more and more and more?
I think it was a gradual thing. I think I'm quite happy that it happened that way rather than a specific topic as such. I do think though that because obviously COVID happened, the COVID pandemic, that did put a lot of highlight and spotlight onto healthcare professionals. And I found myself doing a lot more content related to obviously working during the pandemic because people wanted to know what was going on. So I do feel like it was gradual, but then I guess where there was, a big sort of spotlight was during that time when things started to pick up with the global pandemic, of course.
Yeah. And just in terms of like time management as well, like you mentioned like 12-hour shifts and then having this like following, making YouTube videos and stuff. How has that like been? How do you manage that? Or you don't?
Great question. I guess I just never put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Especially when I was starting off, like I just had in my head, like, okay, post once a week. That's literally all I had in my head. Just stick at that and then see where it goes. Because I knew that I was working these shift patterns, like I can't keep to like a structure. And also I wanted to enjoy it. Like if I put too much expectations on myself, I knew I'll just like burn out from it. Like I'm like, okay, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be something that I enjoy, kind of like a side hustle. I don't know, like you guys do podcasting. It's a side hustle, right? You do it as your escape from life. I don't know. So that's what I kind of wanted to be as. And again, it's the same. I guess it's the same with anything that I kind of do. Just don't. If you want to enjoy it, you have to have fun whilst you're doing it. Otherwise, it's going to be work. I already work. I don't want to do double work. So yeah. That's how I saw it. Not putting pressure on myself, keeping realistic expectations as well. So if I knew that I'm working like 3 night shifts in a row, at least for two days after that, or at least the day after that, I don't want to think about anything other than resting. So I was just being realistic with myself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying your shifts, like they're never at the same time throughout constantly. So you have to keep changing your body clock. So you may have 3 night shifts, then 3 day shifts.
Yeah, that's nursing life for you. So that's paramedic life as well. So yeah, we do. So when you're working in the NHS and you're working like particularly in a hospital setting, you typically, obviously not all areas are the same, you typically working 12-hour shifts and it's shift work. So you could be doing long days or night shifts. And you are, specifically nurses, you could be allocated that at any point in a month. So you could have a week where you're doing day shift, off, night shift. And then you're kind of like, it's just random in a week, essentially. So there's no structure as such.
Are you ever like called in for like an emergency or anything?
So I guess like that kind of refers to like on-call, which is more like things like doctors do. Or certain nursing roles would have like on-call shifts. But if you're like just on the wards, like a general nurse on the wards, you might be called in if you're understaffed. Like that's happened to me before, where like I'd be on my day off and I'd get a call from my manager saying, we're so understaffed this night shift coming up. If you're free, could you come up and I'll take a shift off from you? So it's kind of like that. So yeah, I've been called in like that. And during COVID, yes, very much so, because we were facing understaffing, lots of colleagues going off sick because they've either got tested positive for COVID or a family member's become unwell or they're showcasing symptoms and so on. So that's why we were dealing with like this shortage of nurses, this crisis going on. So a lot of the time, you would be like called in by a manager at like crazy hours, like 2 hours before a shift. Like, I don't care what time you come. Can you just come at some point in the shift because we're so understaffed? Because it's safety as well, is that you need to care for the patients as such. So yeah, that's the realities of it.
Yeah. On the social media stuff again, like how, like in terms of yourself, did you always consider yourself like quite a confident, like outgoing person? Because like I consider like having a YouTube channel where you got to like put yourself out there front of people. I think Instagram could be a bit different, as like you can just kind of like post photos and like be behind a phone, but like YouTube is kind of more an interacting with other people.
I'm not gonna lie, it did take me some time. It did take me a bit of like self-hype before I started my YouTube video. I think it was because, so I had like a year gap before. So when I started my page, I actually launched my YouTube like less than a year after, like probably 7 months or something like that. I think. I can't remember. Like it wasn't straight away, basically. So I gave myself some time. And it was very strange to be talking to a camera and there's like no one sort of there, but you have to kind of talk as if you're talking to someone. I did find that really strange. I think I would say I'm quite extroverted. That's the word. Is that the word? Or introvert, extroverted? Is that the word?
Extroverted is you're kind of like outgoing and more sociable.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Look at me using a word I don't even know the proper meaning of. So I think I would say I am. So especially like if I'm quite chatty and I don't shut up on certain things. So I felt like, okay, if I'm passionate about something, I know I've got enough kind of hype to talk about it. So I'm passionate about nursing. So I'm sure there are things that I can talk about, at least for like 7 minutes in a video. So I guess it just came from there. Like, okay, I think I can do this. I think it was just that first thing, like, can I do this? I was like, yeah, I think I can. And then I was just kind of like, okay, how can I do this? Like just thinking about ways in which I can make it happen, again, to make it fun for myself and also educational and meaningful or worth something of value to others who would obviously be watching it. So yeah, it does take time though. I don't know. I don't think anyone, there's like these YouTubers are like, oh, just pick up your phone and just get in front of a camera and just start talking. And I think they forget like just how scary that can be sometimes to put yourself out there.
What about the like tech stuff side of stuff as well? Like equipment, editing, creating like graphics and everything. How's that? Was that kind of like foreign to you, or do you find it like pretty good?
Absolutely. It was, I never knew how to edit a video, like a basic clip. I didn't even know what iMovie was. Like it just, the whole concept of it just like scared me. But I thought, okay, if I want to do this, I have to learn. So I just started reading into it. I was quite fortunate that I had a friend who was very techie. They knew editing like the back of their hand. So I was literally like, right, one day, just go full tutorial on me, explain to me what this is and everything. And then, yeah, I just learned from there. But I didn't know the basics of it. And then I guess it's like, if you practice something, a skill long enough, then you want to just build on it. And then that's where all the changing softwares, or then you you find yourself looking at your Amazon cart and it's like, oh, what microphone, or your wish list has suddenly changed on things that you want and so on. But yeah, it's just the drive for it, I guess.
No, the page looks really good as well. And then like, did you have to like get permission to like record some of this stuff?
So quite a few things actually with that. So there's this great debate about whether healthcare professionals should actually be on social media. And it's one of those things where like our argument is we're also people, we have lives, and we want to also have social media.
Sorry, is this like when it's like healthcare professionals in social media, is that like your own personal social media, or is it kind of a social media to do? Okay,
both. Yeah. So yeah, there's that kind of hardcore thing that they shouldn't have social media at all, because it's like, oh, patients could find you, and then if you're out, sort of thing. Obviously, if it's private, then they won't. But you know what I mean? Like that's one side of it. And then the other side of it, which has become more kind of prevalent, is whether or not they should have like healthcare pages. And I think it's obviously the healthcare professionals who are putting out those pages have been like fighting for it, myself included, where we're like, actually, we're only putting out things that will hopefully help others and provide value or be of educational value as well. And surely that's only a good thing and representing the professions in positive ways. Because I think this is like there was this old school kind of thinking that, oh, social media is bad, sort of thing. But actually, social media can actually be made for good use and a great way of helping others. And you got to think about the generation that's kind of coming upwards as well. Like everyone's got pretty much social media, whether that's all of them or one at least. And in some way, you can gain some sort of value out of it. It's just how you use it. So in terms of like things like Instagram and so on, having the page, you do have to be mindful of what you put out there. So going to the YouTube sort of thing, I was always very open with my workplace that I forgot a page and a channel and stuff, because I didn't want there to ever be like any sort of conflict coming up later, even though I knew that I'm not going to do anything, or you can't do anything that's going to ever compromise confidentiality of your patients or of your colleagues or anything that would go against any sort of policies as such. So yeah, it's just being mindful of that. And I think if you are going to do something to do with healthcare, you have just better to seek permission and knowing what you can work within your boundaries and so on. Yeah. So as such, yeah, you can't ever compromise confidentiality of individuals. It's just it's not acceptable, exactly, basically, in a simple way.
Yeah. Well, it's led you down. We spoke briefly previously about like kind of the opportunities you've got through that. And one of those was with the BBC. You created a vlog with them, right?
Yeah, that was quite unexpected, I guess. Like I didn't ever kind of imagine that to happen. But I guess...
How did they like approach you?
Yeah, so it was, yeah, essentially. And it was done all officially as well. Just granting access to film, essentially, because this was obviously going to be broadcasted nationally. And what I really liked about this was it was actually showing it from a nurse's perspective about what was actually happening in the hospitals. We had a lot of coverage going on with obviously the global pandemic about what COVID was and the infection rates and the death tolls and so on. But actually hearing a story from someone who's been on the front line and so on, I thought was great. And I wanted to be a part of that if I could. So yeah, that's how the vlog came about. And I just hope it spread a good message as such, just to give the realities of what was going on, what the nurses were facing, because it was really tough. So yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I guess it was just like they had a camera crew and you didn't have like GoPros on your head or something.
Absolutely not. No, it was not that at all. No, so it was done like in a vlogging style. So it's actually just like me vlogging my day, like how I went about it in the morning and what I would do at break time, what things that I would have to do, just speaking about how my morning was. Kind of like how I would do any kind of vlog, like, you know, like a daily life of a Londoner vlog, but just in a hospital setting as such. Yeah. No GoPros stuck on our heads. No.
Yeah, because I was wondering like if there was because if they had camera crews, then surely that would just be in the way, like when you're doing your duties and so on. But I guess that makes sense, right? You can do a video separately afterwards.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube actually. If you Google Nurse Zara BBC, it comes up.
Oh God.
Do you have like people kind of that have messaged you being like, "Oh, Zara, this is like helped so much," or how do I do this? Like, can you make a video about this? Like, what's kind of like your fan base like? If you'd even like, do you consider yourself like to have like a fan base, like, or fans, or is it kind of, I don't know what you.
Or you're kind of making it, or about to put her on a pedestal where she's going to sound like super egotistical.
God, I wouldn't ever say that really, but I guess there are people. I would like to think.
See, I'd be like, look at me, all my fans, man.
I mean, it's one of those things. What's it called? There's a word for it. I was going to come back to me. I'm going to say it at some point. But I would say that there are definitely people that I know that do watch my content. And I think the best part of it is when you do have people who engage. I'm sure you guys probably experienced that yourself, like people actually actively engage and appreciate what you're putting out there. I feel like that's the best part of when you're doing something like content creating, because we are taking out our time outside of our lives to create this. And it is, yes, for us, but it's also mainly for others so they can, like, I don't know, gain something from it. That's what I believe anyway. But, you know, content creating is tough, isn't it? It can be tough. It is that you got to put the work in. So I would say there are people who, thankfully, that do watch my videos or they do engage. And I love it when they say, oh, can you make a video about this? And then I love it when I've made the video. They're like, oh my God, you listened to my suggestion.
Yeah,
like, nice. I love that. Like, that's just, it's like, yeah, of course I would. Like, because that's what you want as well. Like, so many of my videos, like, I'll give an example that was quite like stuck with me. Like, someone said, oh, can you do like a what's in your work bag video? Like, I just want to see what nurses take to work. So I did that video and like literally I got this like lovely message saying, thank you so much. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to see and so on. It's just like it feels good. It's a feel good factor to it. But yeah, that's what I would say. I feel like I've got kind of like a long way to go to, I guess, where I want to kind of take, where I hope to kind of take it. But what I love as well is just being part of a community as such. Like when I was, again, a student, there weren't many kind of resources out there. But I feel like as time has gotten on, as people have kind of exposed themselves to social media, there have been more pages created. And I was like, this is amazing. This is what you kind of want to see in a positive way. So yeah, hopefully this will lead to like, you know, creating more of like a recognition for it. So yeah.
That's like when we started a podcast and everyone else started creating podcasts all of a sudden.
You know what? I found like lockdown, everyone was creating podcasts.
We started before lockdown, just put it out there.
Okay, so you're the OGs basically, yeah.
Well, not the OGs of like podcasting world, but if you took our like friendship group and expanded it, I like to think we're one of the OGs.
If you webbed out of the, you know, the friends, you know how if you create a friend web of how people know each other, and then you see how they ended up creating podcasts, they'll always say third wheel. They saw it and then they wanted to action it.
Oh, I don't know if they'd say it, but
I don't care if they say it, Aaron. We know it's the truth because they messaged us asking us.
You guys are inspirational.
Yeah,
inspirations for others. There you go. They put on the plaque for you guys. Influencers.
Do you have like a favorite video you've made, or one you like just really enjoyed making?
Oh gosh, I really like my week in the life vlog that I created. So because that wasn't, so you get like vlogs of day in the life, but the week in the life was like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself. So I challenged myself. I actually filmed myself for one whole week without like losing motivation for it. And what I liked was I was showing me on shift, but then also what I do on my off days, which is the first time I kind of let sort of people see what I get up to, I guess, what I do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I created that vlog, it gave me stress though, because there's so much editing to do it. Like it's literally like 7 days 7 days. I literally did Monday to Sunday. I didn't even do Monday to Friday of a vlog. And when I look back now, like I was really like kind of proud that I kind of did that because it was a challenge, but it's also a nice memory as well. Like that's the thing with vlogs, like they can also be like a personal thing. Like I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, that was quite nice and so on. So I'd say that's my favorite, one of my favorites, I think from a personal point of view and also just because like I liked how it turned out. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it would be something cool to like look back on, I think.
Yeah. I think when I've done a video, I don't know if you guys listen back to your podcast, like I'm sure like when you're editing, like you can hear it. But it's kind of like, okay, it's uploaded. I never want to hear it again, sort of thing. Because it's, you know, so much work has gone into it. I don't know if you guys experience that as well. But yeah, like, but that is kind of one vlog that I kind of always, like, I'm happy to kind of watch again. Whereas other videos, I'm like, okay, just, I don't want to see it again. I've seen it enough.
I can't remember the last time I actually listened to like a podcast of ours that's like on Spotify or wherever you find them. You mentioned there, like, you're not like close to what you actually kind of want to achieve, or you're not like there yet. What kind of things, do you have anything like for the future, near future, long-term future that you're kind of planning for your Instagram, your YouTube, your TikTok?
Yeah, I guess like I definitely would love to do, like, there are certain things I would definitely love to kind of work on, but I haven't had the time to. So, or like maybe aspects that I've neglected, like I've started, but I've neglected because you're just trying to find that juggling balance. Like, for example, I love doing YouTube. Like, I feel like that's what I would say is my passion. Yeah. But then you see my TikTok and I haven't uploaded in a couple of months. So it's like, you know, it's not because I don't want to.
That's funny because TikTok's only like a minute long, right?
Yeah. It's a weird thing. I don't know. It's just me. I don't understand. Even if you're not the first person like to say that, but it's like where you want to put your attention as such. Like, I would happily record a video, but get me to do like short videos. I'm like, oh, okay. It's just that motivation to do it. I guess I would love to get to a point where I've got this balance, I guess. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I know you guys kind of raised like, oh, how do you manage your time? And I think someone passed a comment like, oh, you don't. I still think I'm trying to get there, of like trying to find that balance, whilst obviously, I guess, having fun. I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, I want to be able to just have a balance of all the things. So yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask, with this time balance thing, so you work 12-hour shifts. So say in the morning you wake up, yeah. I'm thinking like, because say I eat at like 7 in the morning and then I eat 6 at 6 dinner in the evening. So like I eat my breakfast and dinner within a 12-hour period. How the hell do you have like breakfast? Do you have like breakfast before your shift and then dinner after your shift as well? Because
you'd have like a lunch break.
Yeah, we have breaks. And we do eat in our shift. Yeah. Not during the shift, obviously. So for me, I don't eat before I start my shift because that's just too early sometimes. So you would have a morning break, and essentially most nurses would have their breakfast then. So that's usually like the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock mark. So whenever you get to take your break, you do have a lunch break. We don't get an evening break. We do. We're entitled to it, but we don't really take it. I'll be honest. Definitely during COVID, we hardly got an evening break because if it's busy on the unit, though sometimes taking your time out to go and have, you wouldn't have dinner essentially during your shift. You would have that after your shift. So yeah, that kind of answers it.
Yeah, that's mad.
I don't know. You structure your day different, isn't it? Like obviously, I think if you're kind of used to that, you just have to get used to that kind of lifestyle as such. But yeah, it's not too bad. It does take time getting used to.
Yeah, awesome. Where can people listening like find your stuff?
So I'm on Instagram and I have the tag at nursezara_UK. I've got YouTube as well, which is a YouTube channel for Nurse Zara. I've got Twitter as well, which I should probably be using a lot more. All the tags are essentially with Nurse Zara and so on. And again, TikTok, I promised to create more content for that. But yeah, it exists.
Yeah. We'll put all the links to that in the description for those who want to check Zara out. Did you guys think of any would you rathers?
Oh, I've thought of some, but my second one, I kept rewriting during this episode because I've not been happy with the second one. And the third one is like, I'd have to ask permission before I ask it anyway. So.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Let's go with the game. So, yeah, we'll go with the game next. So we thought we'd play a game of Would You Rather. Or not really a game, but like kind of like pose some, I guess, questions that we can kind of answer. Hamish, do you want to go one first?
Yeah. So would you rather be a nurse or a doctor where one of your arms or one of your legs is a prosthetic, if that makes sense? So if you were a nurse or a doctor, would you rather have one of your arms or one of your legs as a prosthetic?
Okay, so it's not to do with if I'd be a nurse or a doctor. I'm one of them.
Yeah. Like if you're a nurse or a doctor, I mean, we could put it a nurse specifically. I just put it just because I wanted to know, like, but you had one prosthetic limb. Which one would you rather have?
I think it'd have to be a leg.
Yeah.
Because you probably do stuff with your arms, right?
Yeah.
If you're like a nurse or a doctor.
Yeah, I agree. I think a prosthetic leg, because I feel like you could still, yeah, exactly. Like,
oh, but would a prosthetic arm be like, if it's like a machine, like it could be like technically like more accurate and like be able to like do stuff a human hand couldn't, right?
It depends, Aaron.
Like if it's custom built, do you know what I mean?
I feel like he's upgrading it. He's like, if I'm going to get
if it's like an upgraded arm.
I want to go all out.
It's an ambiguous question, so I butchered it by But like I was thinking as well, like you'd have to train a certain amount to make sure your leg also doesn't get tired, the one that is resting on the prosthetic. Because I didn't say where it could be a prosthetic limb from.
I would still say leg, because I feel like, I don't know, working in healthcare is very hands-on. And also you can get some fields within healthcare that actually you don't have to do a lot of walking. So yes, that could be a bonus. So you wouldn't have to actually technically be using your legs that much.
Yeah, I think in that scenario, like if I was a doctor or nurse, I'd go leg. Unless there was like, I'd be tempted by like an advanced arm, like an upgraded arm.
Like you're saying, if it could actually like get your signals from your brain perfectly for your movement, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like if it had features and like stuff, that my current arm does. I don't know.
Like Cyborg from Titans.
Like it could, like if it could, like, because your hand would look like shake. Do you know what I mean? Maybe like again, arm which like wouldn't like could be still if I wanted it to be. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like perfectly still, and then I can imagine that being of good use if you're like a doctor or a surgeon or something.
So basically, you would want to be a surgeon because that would be very like technical and precise.
Yeah, and if the arm was suited to that, I think that could work potentially.
That's the scenario I think of, that you would have a prosthetic arm if it was advanced. Obviously, if we had the technology which made your like brain signals or whatever perfectly precise.
But like without all the ifs and buts and like maybe I'd go like.
Oh, okay.
What would you do, Hamish?
No, I was saying like in the surgeon case this was literally my answer. In the surgeon case where we have like advanced like neuroscience and say your computer can do it, I'd want to have the prosthetic arm for precision in surgery in that case. However, otherwise it would make sense realistically for you to have a prosthetic leg, right?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try one. Would you rather speak every language fluently or play every instrument fluently?
Ooh.
Language.
Ooh.
Language, straight up.
Yeah. Because that means you can converse with anyone in any situation if you need help.
How often do you do that?
I think it's better to know language than know to play instruments.
I think it's better, socially.
I think playing instruments would be sick, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the languages can actually help, because languages, are you including sign language? Because I actually want to learn sign language.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go.
So I was like, if you know that, then you could actually end up being of use to someone or helping someone if someone asked you for directions and they didn't understand English, like for example, London fluently. So
yeah, but also if like, Hamish, you could be on like a date, and like you just whip out like your guitar and like start like playing or like a piano or something, man.
Yeah, but Aaron, knowing every language means that I would be able to at least sing in every language.
Yeah.
Who said you can sing?
You didn't specify that. You said play instruments or that.
But like speaking doesn't mean like you can sing.
I don't feel like singing does. No, you can get grading in singing.
I think I'd actually agree with you and go language though.
I mean, Aaron, you could
because I think it'd be easier to learn an instrument than a language.
But you said that I'll just know one or the other fluently, right?
Yeah. But if I knew every language fluently, I could then try and learn an instrument. I can try and learn it myself.
But you said we won't be as fluent in it, so that's the trade-off.
I mean, you could like learn, like say you're born with one of these, and you could like try and learn the others.
Well, I'm assuming that you can't. So like you can only be fluent in one of the two.
What would your accent be?
I would want a universal accent, so like something that is not, you can't recognize it. Do you know what I mean? When you know those people that have accents and you can't, they must have like, because they lived in many countries and you can't tell where it is.
But I think I'd want to have like, I don't know, I think I'd go like Italian or French or something.
You don't want to represent the British accent.
Oh no, I probably wouldn't keep a British accent. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel
if I could change it, like depending on where I'm living, I think that'd be cool. But,
okay.
Yeah, but if you could speak, maybe you can, replicate a bit of the accent.
Yeah, I feel like when you speak, like if I started speaking French, I can't speak French with an Essex accent. Do you know what I mean? It just
very
true.
Work. That would be very strange. I can't even think of that. I agree. I would say languages. I feel like that would be of greater use. Of course, you can like communicate with others. And an instrument, I don't know, it's cool. You could be like, one-man orchestra as such. But like, I don't know. I feel like languages, you can meet people through languages as well. But one thing about languages though, it's not just about the language. You kind of have to also understand you know, the etiquette of it as well. Like there are certain cultural aspects to it. So there's a lot more to it than I think just speaking it. So yeah, I think that'd be quite cool to kind of master.
It'd also be funny, like if you heard someone make a sly remark about you as you walk by in another language, and then you just make the sly remark right back at them in the same language because they didn't think you knew it. I'm like, bitch, yeah, I know it.
I know what you said.
Cool. Zara, do you have any?
Yeah, I got one. Would you rather be always cold or always hot?
Hot.
Temperature-wise.
Yeah, temperature-wise.
See, man's not hot, but always cold, always hot.
I hate the winter. Always leave me in summer.
But then when it's hot, I'm like, oh, I hate that as well. Like when it's like really hot. I'm guessing this is like sweating hot.
Yeah, so
like
getting 2 extremes.
30 degrees is the max acceptable. So, but I would accept it if it was 30 degrees the entire year, for example. Like I wouldn't be like, I need a winter. Like fuck that. Let it be summer all year round. When I say summer, not a British summer, can I just clarify? Because a British summer like today is not the one.
Yeah, this is not the one. This is just British weather. I'm saying, so like you're going from like, so even if we're in the midst of winter, it's snowing, but you're always cold or you're always hot. So it's got nothing to do with external factors. It's just a you thing.
Oh, then yeah, I'd still rather be always warm.
Always warm.
So this is like in Twilight, you know, where you kind of like, do you want to be the werewolf or the vampire? But,
absolutely. Well done. Yeah.
I just think about it. I don't want to wear 4 layers every fucking time if I'm always cold. Like if I'm warm, then I'll just have like a usual like 2-layer combo or something, and that's it.
Yeah, I think I'm Team Jacob, to be honest. I know you said like no external factors. So like if you ask me like, would you rather live in like Egypt or India or Dubai or something compared to like the Arctic or the Antarctic, I'll probably choose like India, the hotter countries. But like, I prefer wearing jumpers, you know, like jumpers and like tracksuit bottoms and like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can still wear tracksuit bottoms in summer.
Yeah, but not if you're hot. You're not going to wear like tracksuits and jumpers and all that. You're going to be wearing like shorts and so like t-shirts to kind of cool you down.
Yeah, but there's those people that always wear shorts. Have you not? You know, there's these people that always wear shorts and no matter what. Yeah, but
say you are hot, Hamish. You're not going to wear a jumper, are you?
Yeah, I mean that's fine, then, isn't it? I like my hoodie combo with my jacket, but like I'm fine to not wear that hoodie or something. Like have one less layer. As I said, I'd rather have less layers than more layers because more layers is also more laundry. Would you rather go to sleep cold or warm?
Oh, cold, 100%.
What?
Because then you get into like the duvet, the quilt, and all, and it's like nice and warm.
Nah,
then
I can't sleep when it's cold. Like,
when it's hot, I'm like shivering. I have to stick a leg out of the bed. Do you know what I mean?
Even now, I sleep with like 2. Basically, I have a throw on top of my Indian blanket, so I literally sleep with still Classic. 2 layers on top.
Classic. I feel like everyone does this. Yeah.
I would go hot. I would rather be hot. Like even just like people touching you. If you're cold, they're like, ugh. Yeah. I'd go hot.
Okay.
Think about it like this. Your girl would always be hugging you if you're always hot.
Exactly. But yeah, I'd go hot, but it isn't like, I'm not like, oh yeah, definitely hot. But I'd
see what I mean,
slide with hot.
In an ideal world.
Yeah, ideally.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I think I'd rather be cold because again, you could like layer up and stuff and just like, I hate it. I hate that feeling when it's really hot. And then, you know, you get lazy, like you just don't want to do anything. So I think just having that constant sort of battle with myself, I would hate that. So yeah.
No. See, if you're always hot, that means you're also tempted to go on runs and stuff. Well, if I'm cold, I'm not going to go outside because I feel like all your limbs start hurting when you're cold. So I'm just like,
I think the opposite.
I would rather be warm and run. Every time it's warm, I go for a run.
Why?
Every time it's in the winter, I just don't run anymore.
But surely when it's winter, you want to warm yourself up, so you go for a run. Yeah,
but it doesn't work as well when you're like freezing and like it feels like you're like about to like get like frostbite. And I know you can't necessarily get frostbite in here, but you know, like I feel like that's how it is.
Oh gosh, Hamish just thought about this. Like, I feel like he's
I do agree with Hamish, but
I was like at some point I just want to move to a country where it's like always like basically summer.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do like one more round?
Okay. Then I'm gonna ask for permission before I ask this.
Okay, go on.
So, would you rather date a colleague who always has a similar shift to you, or the same one, or always has a completely opposite shift to you? So, say you're working night shift, they're working the exact opposite shift to you.
Oh, that's
or they always do the same shift.
That's a great question. Okay.
And this is specific to nursing. All of mine's are specific to nursing.
That's good.
One would be an overload of contact with them, and one would be...
But you like hardly at all.
Yeah, or just on your break days. On your break days, obviously.
Have we just started dating, or have we been married for like 20 years?
Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry. I was meant to say, like, the dating could be in, like, you could be girlfriend, boyfriend, you could be married, you could be fiance, whatever. Like,
let's do dating, so you're just getting to know each other. Because I feel like when you're married, it's like, it's pretty obvious.
I'll see him all the time. I'll see him all the time. It's fine.
Just note that the break days can be the same. Like, you'll have the same break days, because I didn't want the question to be that scuffed.
Wait, in both scenarios?
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, the break days would be... No, so on the
so you're still going to see him like a few days a week?
Yeah, so...
a couple of days a week, whatever.
On the opposite one, your break days are the same.
Yeah, I get you. No, for both of them, I guess, then it would be this. Essentially, you're asking, would you rather see them on your shift or not on your shift?
Yeah, but like one of them, you're seeing them all the time, like 24/7, basically. One of them, you're seeing a bit less. Because I was thinking, like, if you work the same shift as them, Aaron, then you could always drop them back and forth, like, as well, because you'd be doing the same commute, etc. But if you're doing opposite, then...
Yeah, but she'll be a strong, independent woman, you know what I mean?
But like, you want to do something romantic.
In Scrubs, yeah.
Realistically, she's probably dropping me off, to be honest.
I feel like I think even if you did have the same break days, I would still want to have an opposite rota, because I would just not want to see them all the time. I feel like, it's the whole thing that kind of distance create, hearts wonder sort of thing. I don't know what it's called, but essentially it like separation is sometimes a good thing, because then it will make you value the time that you actually spend together, as opposed to if you spent time all the time. And I think for me, when you're at work, I think the last thing you want to be thinking about is, I don't know, your significant other and stuff. You kind of want to be focused on what you're doing. Like, it's a distraction as such. And also, this might be a weird complex, but imagine if they're like your senior, or they're like in a different position, and then they have to kind of tell you what to do as such. Like, for instance, if it was like a doctor versus nurse sort of thing, and like they're planning out the care, like that could come across quite strange as such, because you're being professional, but you kind of like, you want to be professional, but then it's like, if something happens and you have to be quite stern, like that you might lose a certain level of professionalism. And I wouldn't want that. I want to kind of keep work at work and personal life out of that. If that makes sense. I wouldn't want to mix the two. And I feel like you can't help, but it will mix, because you know each other outside of work. Yeah. I feel like if we didn't have the break days though, so imagine if we were like completely opposite. So whenever I'm on shift, they're working shift, or when I'm off, they're working shift. That would be quite...
Basically don't see each other.
Difficult. Yeah, because then like you wouldn't have any time. Or
but maybe what would happen is, if say their break day was on your shift, then maybe you could do like something before or after, and then vice versa.
Yeah. So I think I would still pick like just having opposites. Yeah, because I feel like, there's a will, there's a way. Like, you can always make time out for someone. I don't know, plan your annual leave together if you really wanted to spend time together. So
I'd be so distracted, man. Especially in that environment, like where you got to be like a nurse or a doctor. Like, it's probably not ideal. I'm more worried about like what I look like, or like trying to look cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to focus on the patients, and then we wouldn't be doing that.
Imagine being a paramedic riding around with your own wife.
That could be cute.
That's
at first,
cute. Oh, that's
a
cute.
Like,
that's a cute story. Yeah.
At first.
So that's when I think similar shift, I was like, oh, the paramedic scenario could be quite jokes, like, or could be quite decent.
But then what if you're too busy like flirting and you miss out on like someone needs some help, and you're just like, you're too busy like at the ice cream shop or something. I don't know.
I don't think you understand. They don't get much time at things. So like,
yeah, but you're like in your head, man. You're letting your heart like talk.
Yeah. You're gonna get distracted.
See, this is why it was a good question. See, this was what the reason why I thought of this question was because I remember seeing all the stories of all the nurses who had to end up getting married in hospital or getting proposed to, and all the stuff in hospital because they couldn't, because of COVID, essentially. So I was just like, shout out to all the nurses that were in that scenario.
That's so true. I actually know some colleagues who, well, they didn't get proposed, but they've had to like postpone their weddings or things like that. But then they would do like, I guess, not in that situation, but they'd have to postpone it because they can't take time off, because all your annual leaves had to be cancelled and stuff because of the working. And
or anniversaries. Yeah. They were like on 72-hour shifts. I read something about 72-hour shift, and in the middle it was the anniversary on the day in the between.
Oh.
And they just celebrated in the hospital with what time they could get, I guess.
Yeah. A great question, Hamish. Good one.
I've got like a serious one and like a joke one. I'll go with the joke one. Would you rather all songs exist in the world, but they're all performed by Pitbull, or only one Pitbull song exists, but every artist like performs that one variation of the song with their own like cover.
Oh.
You know what? Yeah. If it's one Pitbull song, I make him pick International Love, and then if everyone can.
But that's the only song that exists.
Oh shit! No, he has a few bangers, doesn't he? He has one with Camilla as well.
So like Adele would still be singing that song, and Ed Sheeran. That's the only song they have.
Pitbull performing every song.
Skepta, Jamie, all them will be performing that one song.
I know. I was thinking like imagine M100, like Pitbull performing M100.
Or like Adele, Ed Sheeran, or don't exist, but like Pitbull's like singing like I don't know, yeah, like all of Adele's songs, all of Ed Sheeran's songs, everything.
So wait, does everyone else have one song, or do they still have their song?
That's their song. Just that song. Yeah, the cover of that song.
Yeah, a cover of one of Pitbull's songs.
So they don't have their own other songs?
No.
Wait, can the cover be like a mix? Like, so they could have like done a bit of a mix on it. Like they could have done their own version of it, not sang the same exact lyrics, for example.
Nah.
You know what? Yeah, I'll still go for the cover one because that means everyone, you can listen to it in the voice you want or in the style you want.
Yeah, I feel like you can still like have your own, what's the word? It's still part of you. So if you're really into country music, then you just need to hear the song in the country side. But to hear the same guy in different, like he's only got one style, so it still kind of fit what you enjoy, your preference.
Imagine Pitbull singing Taylor Swift. Fucking hell.
Like a Taylor Swift song. Oh my god, it could be really good.
It could work, you know.
I've heard so many covers of like an original song, and they sound sometimes even better. So yeah.
Zara, do you have any?
Okay. It's kind of like a classic one, but I've always find it interesting to hear like people's views on this. So would you rather know the day that you pass away, or would you rather know how you passed away?
The day. I'd rather the day.
The day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you tell me the day, I know it's going to happen then. That's fine. Whereas if you told me I was going to like die from like a car accident, every day I'm going to be like, oh shit, could it happen today? Am I going to get in a car? Am I like going to like do this, that? Whereas if I know the day, I can just like, you know, put it to one side and be like, okay, it's going to happen then.
I mean, that is the more like obvious choice. I'm just trying to think of scenarios.
Can it change? Like, I know the day, but now because I know the day, I like start acting reckless, you know?
Yeah,
it can.
You know, a wizard's come along and just giving you this piece of information, and it's your choice now how you deal with it. So
you can still die earlier.
Yeah, but I can still
this is the day. This is the longest you will.
I was gonna say, like, what if I jumped off a cliff? Like, I'm still alive.
Yes. No. Let's make it a bit more harder. This is the day that's the day you'll die. So even if you jump off the cliff, you'll live. But then you just affected your quality of life.
Right, Aaron, you could have every limb in your body broken, and you'll have to live till that day.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to live till that day. You do
yes, essentially.
Okay, I'll just make sure I won't do anything reckless. I'll still live my like normal life, but
yeah, you won't. Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, like does this affect our curiosity? I know this is a bit like technical, but does this affect like life insurance if you know the day you die, like, or if it was like
nobody else knows?
Like,
it's just like someone told you.
No, because then you could make sure you could do whatever you can to make sure your life insurance payouts to your family are excellent, and there's no loopholes that would fuck them over from it. You have to think about this.
Sure. Yes. Go for it. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Then the day you die would make more sense than how you die, but if you know how you die, then that may also let you know if you can even get the.
Oh, but how you die, that could also be like, you know, you just die peacefully in your bed.
That's exactly it. What happens if it's a nice sort of thing?
And then that's like, oh, that's not going to happen anytime soon, surely.
No, but when means that you can plan out what you need to do.
But I could also be like, what if I just go to bed tonight and like I don't wake up? That's a bit.
You die in your sleep.
That's a bit still. That's still peacefully, technically, but
I think that's more like that's going to be more resting on your mind, and that will more likely, like, for example, affect your sleep than if you knew the exact day, because you'd probably be more. I'd hope at least you'd be more motivated to do certain things you wanted to do in life by that point.
Possibly. I think there would be both aspects of fear in both, like, because imagine if you're told, okay, you're only going to live for the next 2 weeks, right? Or you could be the next 80 odd years. Like, I think both will have like an element of like fear to it, whereas obviously like how you die, again, it could have like how you said about the car accident, or if you're going to be like crushed by a sea creature because you're out surfing or something, you probably just never go into the water again. Like they're both going to create some aspects of fear. But I feel like I think for me, it's just choosing which one would you rather have more of, kind of live with. I don't know. I feel like how you would, again, it's just that thing, like, it could be peaceful, or it could be actually something, like what happens if it's of like, okay, it would be of a natural cause, like that sort of thing. I feel like that is less daunting than actually knowing a specific date. Personally, I don't know, because it could just be, it might not be like a long, you never know sort of thing. Like you just never know how that quality of life is going to be. So yeah.
Awesome. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. So like a few other like kind of topics that related to nursing and some other stuff. One of them, like just women in healthcare. And I guess the kind of like stereotypes that come with that, like especially kind of, nurses and doctors, and also just from like a cultural point of view, like coming from a South Asian background. All of us are from South Asian backgrounds. How is that? Because like, first of all, from a South Asian background, I know the stereotype is like, oh, you become a doctor, that's kind of a thing. It wasn't for me, but like I know like for a lot of people it is. How was that for you, like growing up?
Yeah, I guess it does depend, obviously, specifically on the families. But I think there is this cultural expectations that you want to work in healthcare, then the only profession you should really aim for is to become a doctor. And I think that's something that does stem from like the South Asian community. It might be from other communities as well, but kind of like just speaking for my own, for our own, it's definitely there. And if you're kind of pursuing anything else like nursing or midwifery, then it's kind of like, why would you do that? What's the point? Not realizing just how important these roles are. You can't deliver babies without a midwife. You can't carry out bedside care without a nurse. Hospitals aren't just run by one sole healthcare profession. But I think where this idea comes from is just because of ignorance as well. And also maybe because people are only thinking that way and not allowing themselves to think beyond that. And I think this is where it's really important, like social media can play a part of it, because that can form as part of educating others that actually these professions do exist. And these sort of things are very important. I think that came to light, especially during COVID, where you would see a lot of kind of like the nursing profession highlighted and midwifery profession highlighted as well. That actually they're doing a lot of work, and these are very important roles in the hospital. It's quite sad that it still kind of exists. I don't know if it would probably ever go, because it probably just takes one family member. Even if your family's like supportive of your work, there'll always be one auntie or uncle somewhere who will pass a comment at some point in your career, and you just got to kind of learn to deal with it. And I think kind of going with what you said about women in healthcare, there is that as well, because within our culture, it's very much like this split of like men go out and work and provide and are the breadwinners for the family. And then women, once they're married and so on, they're at home and raising a family and so on. But obviously, like when you're kind of living in Western culture, there are women who are out there, working as well. And are they just expected to give up everything now because they've entered marriage life? Even though that's what they've worked hard for, like they've gone to university, they've hustled, they're enjoying what they're doing. But because of this old school mentality, they have to give it up. On what basis? And I think it's something that definitely I still have conversations with colleagues who are still facing that. That's just their expectations that they're meant to do once they hit that marriage milestone as such.
Yeah, it's sad. I think it's, as you said, I'm not sure when it can like kind of be fully, that kind of like point of view is going to like fully go. Because I guess it seems weird to me that it could be like people our age now or like younger kids growing up that have that view. It just seems like, how can you? But I guess if their parents do, and that's all they've been like taught, they're just going to like grow up with like very kind of traditional stereotypes, and then they're going to like pass that on. And
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know kind of where it stops, just kind of influence from other friends who don't have that kind of view, or
it's definitely a generational mindset. Like even if our generation thinks differently, we might still get pressure from our parents or grandparents to think a certain way. And obviously I don't think anyone ever wants to upset their elders in their family, especially when in our culture we place a lot of importance on that. But at the same time, you're kind of battling your own hopes and dreams. And I think that's where kind of a lot of things that women are facing when they take on these roles. But I don't know, it's you gotta kind of, if you stick at it, I guess, then fair enough. But obviously it's not that easy. It's not easy when you've got like families who think a certain way, especially with your family. You don't want to kind of challenge anyone in any way, but it's tough. It's tough. And again, who knows when it will probably ever be truly ever accepted.
Was it different for you? Because you were kind of like going on that one career path, and then the nursing thing happened like so quickly. So maybe there wasn't that like period where it's like, oh, what about going into medicine instead?
Oh, I definitely faced so many family members questioning me. Oh, if you're going to go into healthcare, why don't you pursue medicine? And my answer has always been because I don't want to. Literally, I don't want to become a doctor. Like, I want to become a nurse. Like, it's not anything else. And that's all I say. And that usually like kind of quietens it. But it's like, oh, what's the point? And a big thing that always comes up is pay, like money. Obviously, doctors are paid a lot more than nurses, or they are paid more. But again, that's not a reason why people go and pursue these degrees. Obviously, you need to earn money. Like, that's the thing. I can't say that, oh, people don't want to go into medicine because the pay is not great. I mean, I'm sure there's an element to that. And I'm sure there's an element that people don't want to go into nursing because they don't get paid enough. Of course, that you can't ignore that. But there are people there who think that way. But generally, people don't go into healthcare professions just for the pay of it. They do it for the other morals attached to it, I'd like to think. And pay just comes along with it. Like, if you want to earn money, don't go into healthcare. Like, literally, if you're money orientated, just don't. You're not good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as a quick fire at the end, but I was going to say, if you had a choice between private or NHS, would you always choose NHS?
At this moment, yes, I would always pick NHS because I think the NHS is a great place to work. Obviously, we're under so much pressure. Like, really, how nurses are working in the NHS. I think anyone looking from the outside would think, why would they do that? But because it's a lot. I've spoken to some overseas nurses, and they're like, "Oh, I've seen the work that you do, and we don't do that. Like, that sounds too intense. Like, even something like 12-hour shifts, it's not the same everywhere else in the world. They don't do 12-hour shifts. So them hearing that that's something that they do in the UK or in the US, like, that's strange to them. But that's what we do. I would always pick NHS, but I know a lot of people go into private for their own reasons. A big thing is the pay, because it just pays so much better. But I think you're missing out on things like I don't know, the NHS is diverse. It's just the ethos of it. I love the ethos of the NHS. Like, it's open healthcare to everyone. It does not discriminate. Anyone is entitled to free healthcare. And I love being a part of that as such. But yeah, again, everyone's got their own reasons for it. But that's how I think at this moment in time.
Are there any like particular stereotypes that you faced yourself being a woman in healthcare? Yeah,
definitely. So I think when people think of nurse, I feel like most people think of, oh, you're just doing personal care, because that is an important part of our care. We do personal care. We help patients who are unable to look after themselves and tend to their needs. The nurse is integral to that. And so I had a conversation with a midwife, and we face the same sort of challenges with this. And one thing is, and I'm going to say it, but nursing and midwifery are like dirty professions because of the personal care that we provide. And how can a woman be involved in that? And which makes no sense. It just makes zero sense to me, because when you go into hospital, you sometimes, if you've got your granddad who's poorly in hospital and they need help with their personal care, it would be the nurse who's helping them to do that. So are you then going to undervalue that it's a skill to it and label it as something when actually is so important for someone's recovery and part of their healthcare journey, so to say? And so we face that within our community, that actually, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to help a woman who's, going through pregnancy and labor? Like, that's not ill, like those sort of things. That's horrible when someone who works in there is to hear that. But that's how people think. Some people think. And
they think about that. About the midwives?
Yeah, midwifery and nursing, both together.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't know, you said like midwifery a few times. And I feel like, I don't know, I didn't know that's how it like...
Yeah, I would have said midwifery if I read it.
Yeah, midwifery. Yeah, I would have said that.
Oh my God, you did not just say that. Really?
Yeah, I thought that would be
if
like...
If I read it, I would have said that.
Midwifery. Yeah. You guys are the first people ever that I've heard who would pronounce it like that.
I've never heard midwifery in my life.
There goes our medical career.
yeah.
Okay, how would you say... Okay, take out the iri.
Midwife.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say midwifery.
Yeah. No, I see the point. There's not like an extra A on it, like, or like R-A-R-Y or something.
Yeah,
like
and like midwife.
Say again.
Midwifery.
I don't know if I've even seen that like spread out, to be fair.
Midwifery.
I get it now. But
So you guys were just totally lost when I was saying.
I was wondering. I was like, am I a jackass? I was like,
first time you said it, I was like, should I correct her? Thinking I was right. And I was like, you said it a couple of times. I was like, I'm probably
if you tried to correct it, that would have been so funny.
Oh my goodness. I'll just shut that down straight away.
I'm like, she's probably right because she's the actual medical professional here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like we need Siri here to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure it's midwifery, or I don't know.
No. You are. I assume you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to think I'm right. I'm a bit doubting it, but I've always said midwifery.
If they say that in the hospitals, then you're probably definitely right.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that I didn't know that word existed, but if I had read it, what I assumed the spelling to be, then yeah, we would have said it.
Wait,
How enlightening.
I'll Google it.
I was Googling it. Okay.
Pronunciation.
Oh god, this is it. But it depends. Is it?
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, am I right?
It's like me, dwi, furry. Me, dwi.
Wait, what dirty? What people trying to like infuriate us? Like what dirty profession? Who says this, man?
Yeah, because it's kind of like that thing where speaking about the midwifery profession, most families would want a female profession to look after their loved one. But at the same time, these are the same people who are making those comments, which makes no sense. So would you prefer a male professional to do it? And yet you're the one that are kind of labeling women who are going into these professions. It's strange. It's the same with nursing. You would want most women would prefer a female professional to help them when it comes to certain care.
Midwife,
right?
Yeah.
Or even
that's
nurses.
What I would have thought.
Yeah.
I thought that would be more comfortable for them anyways. Like,
absolutely. But then it's the same people making these comments. So it's like, yeah, it still exists. Of course, it still exists. And I don't know. I feel like it also it's a very tough conversation to have. And I guess you have to come from someone who is kind of willing to speak about it. Obviously, I hate saying it because it's like, why would people even think this way? But this is what people are saying. So unless you don't speak about it and educate others that this is what's happening, then it's not ever going to be, the attitude's not ever going to be changed, right? So yeah, and this is also what discourages young girls who are passionate to go into nursing or midwifery, that because they don't want to deal with that from their families. And it's like, no, like go for it. This is something, you could be a great nurse or a midwife, but you have to deal with those hypocritical thinking. No, like, so it just takes those conversations to hopefully change that way of thinking.
I think you lot should be asking permission to slap anyone right across the face. Exclusive
no
access.
comment. Thank you, Hamish. Thank you.
But that could just like, if the slap's hard, that could just create more work for them.
Nah, you just leave them on the side, innit? Save the beds for the people who need them.
Oh my goodness. Oh
have you had like
no comment?
I don't even know you can say this, but have you had like patients where it's like, I know, just rude and just horrible to like work with, and making comments like racist comments or sexist comments, or that you kind of like, I know it's like, I don't know if you actually like take an oath, but it's like kind of like an oath where you have to treat every life as equal kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. You do face different scenarios as such. Some, thankfully, haven't faced, but I know colleagues have. I feel like personally, I have faced kind of this cultural stereotypes where, yeah, you face a whole bunch of different situations, and it's tough, but you're also trained to deal with it because it's the realities of it. You're going to be faced with that. You may have a patient who passes racist comments to you or to your colleague, and the great thing is you shouldn't ever take it though. But you're just meant to handle it in a professional way. So really, you should report that to your line manager and say, "This is what I'm facing," and kind of be in a position where it's then their responsibility to take action of it, because we also shouldn't have to face that. And it's so horrible when you're trying to carry out your care, but then you're facing with someone who's swearing at you or someone who's in their mental capacity. So it's different if someone's not in their mental senses. I'll be honest, like, they don't know what they're saying, then that's different. Someone who knows what they're saying and is purposely doing that to someone, a healthcare professional who's only trying to help you, then you just need to also be firm enough to walk away from that situation and be like, okay, you know what? I am not going to take part in this. I'm here to do my duty. You can speak to my nurse in charge if you wish to continue to speak like that. So yeah, you have to be assertive as well.
When you say you're trained in like dealing with that. How are you trained? Or is it not like trained per se as like you do like a role play where like someone's racist to you kind of thing?
So training in a sense where some training can do that. Like you can do, yes, I've had training like that where they say, okay, what happens if you're facing the situation? And that's obviously done in a training environment and hopefully to have like a learning outcome from it. But I think the most important thing is to not lose like your cool in it, basically. Because I think like if it was any other time and someone was to pass a comment, you're not going to take it. But obviously, when you're in like a professional sense, you have like even you guys, like I'm sure when you're in your professional sense, you have to be different because it's just unprofessional. But of course, at the same time, you shouldn't take that abuse. You shouldn't ever take abuse in that way. So yeah, you get training on if someone says something to you, what is the escalation to it, and they would want you to report it. You have to report it. You're not meant to just take it, if a sense. But again, you need to not respond to it in a way that could lead to a explosive situation. So yeah, it's tough. I'm sure you've seen like these episodes of it in A&E or something where they've got like nurses getting attacked and so on. Like it's horrible, but it happens because of the nature of it. You're taught hopefully how to deal with it. So yeah, it's strange though sometimes.
I was gonna say like one of the best abilities the nurses probably have it because last time I was in the hospital was for my brother, and I remember all the nurses going from like bed to bed or something because the beds were in the corridors, and I was just like, the fact that they have the ability to be polite and so on for 12 hours meeting, Lord knows how many people in that shift, and like seeming like they never lose their cool. I'm like, these lot are built different. I was like sure, because the exhaustion, like obviously like I guess you like learn to like be like that in your 12-hour shift, but like the exhausted, like that must be like so exhausting because I'm like, I can't be asked with that much social contact in my life. Like these lot are doing it on like literally bed to bed, like in the corridor. I'm like, allow that.
Wait till you hear us in the staff room. Like, just we're all bent out and we're all running. It's like, okay, you go there. That's what you hear. Or the treatment room, all of our quiet spots. Don't worry, we know how to vent it out. But it's tough at times. Again, it's just the expectations of the job. So yeah.
There's a lot more we could have covered on like the kind of gender inequalities and like cultural aspects. But I'm a bit wary of time. I guess we will start to like wrap up the episode. So we end it off with like a few things. So first thing would be our like final questions. So the first one we have for you is, what's something about you that you don't understand?
I love this question. Okay, so this is something that is brought to my attention from when like I've met someone for the first time or like it's a friend and so on. But if we're walking, I like to walk on the right side of someone. Like I'd literally change. If we're walking and I'm on the left side, I would just change and I'd work on the right side. I didn't notice that I did that until someone like pointed it out to me. It's like, you've literally just changed. Like every time we're walking, you just change to walk on the right side. And he was like, how did that happen? And I realized I did that all the time. And I think it comes just from, I prefer just to walk on that side of the road. I don't know why. And yeah, that's something I don't understand.
You know what this reminds me of Baxo at uni. So one of our friends from uni, basically whenever we were walking, he would always just crisscross over, and I was like, "Fam, stop fucking doing this. Just pick a side, and walk on it, And we just keep crisscrossing over. Like he doesn't do it like knowingly. I'm just like, bro, I swear, if you crisscross one more time, I'm like tripping you up, because I'm not like switching like like head position to constantly have to talk to you when we're walking literally in a straight line.
Yeah, that's my people. Yeah.
So does it make a difference if you're on the right hand side of the road or the left hand side of the road?
Just as long as I'm on the right side of the person.
And what if you're in a group?
Yeah.
Like, is it the right hand side of everyone? Or just someone?
Then that would just be like a constant loop, right? Just moving in between people. No, just whoever's next to me.
So when you realised, did you try and like walk on the left-hand side?
Yeah. And then I was like, no.
Like I would have tried. I'd be like, no, I'm going to walk on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I did. And I was like, no, you know what? Like, this is me. I'm just going to go with it, deal with it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah.
So the next question is, what is your most used or favourite emoji?
Oh, okay. I like the emoji, it's got the hand covering the face and it like looks kind
like the
of
monkey.
Cute. Not the monkey, but the emoji.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I shouldn't have said that. One. Yeah, but then it's like, is it blushing or is it like...
Or embarrassed,
Or is it embarrassed or is it like, oh, shouldn't have said that.
About to sneeze.
Yeah, I'm about to sneeze. It's so diverse. That's actually the most like used one on my phone. Like I looked at it just this morning. So yeah, I love that one. I love the diverse hee kind of emoji. What's your guys's?
Oh,
I don't have one.
I think mine would be the eyes emoji, where it's just like
the rolling eyes,
the side.
or just the eyes.
No, the eyes, like looking to the side.
Side
I feel like I always use that.
So you're judging all the time, Aaron, basically.
No, it's normally because I'm just saying something like a bit cheeky, a bit sarcastic, maybe. So I just add it onto the end to like just soften it a bit.
Okay.
My emojis are all over the place. There was a point where I definitely liked the upside down smiley face a lot.
Oh, that was a phase, yeah.
Yeah.
I still use it. Don't get me wrong in certain cases, but I guess the other one. But the thing is, though, I use this emoji wrong. I still do. Don't get me wrong. So there's this emoji that has like, you have like your mouth open. It's like a laughing emoji, kind of, where your eyes are like closed and you're like laughing. Yeah, like, but you're not, it's not the crying laughing one. It's just like the laughing one. I used that as a smiley face, thinking that was just a normal smiley face. But it turns out that that's a laugh face. So when I'm just trying to put like a smile into it, I've always used that one. And I still use it because I think the normal smiley face is too creepy.
The languages of emojis. It's just...
Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah. It's complicated. The thing is, like, that would be one of the fluent. If you're fluent in every language, it counts.
Emojis, yeah, that is the one that you want to aim for. It would technically be the most spoken because if everyone's got a smartphone. Yeah.
Cool. And then final questions. This is actually a question we ask every guest, and that is, what has been your most memorable third wheeling experience?
It would have to be when, so I was with my friend and they actually forgot that they had made plans with their boyfriend. And it was a case where like they'd made a plan with me, but then they had to decide, oh gosh, I'm now in two situations. So I was like, oh, why don't they just come along to what we were going to go and do? Right. And it was, so they technically became the third wheel, but then they were thinking that I was the third wheel, right? So it was becoming a bit of like a weird complex. But what soon became apparent was me and my friend were like in our own worlds and they were just kind of straggling along because we're trying to do this plan together, try and make it work. But it wasn't happening because obviously we're catching up and so on. To the point where they just left. We were just walking and then we turned around, it's like they've just literally gone. This happened like halfway through and it turned into like a really terrible argument. Like halfway, I was like, oh, what's happened? Like, where did you go? And they're like in a relationship as well. So it's not like they're just like, we're just friends hanging out. This is like kind of acceptable. And it went really bad to the point where like they're arguing like over the phone in the middle of the street. Like, why would you just go? It's like, oh, you made a plan with me, but then now you're like with like Zara and so on. Like, what's the point? And everything, it got really tense and so on. And it was really bad. And now I don't even talk to the boyfriend as such because it became really tense. So yeah.
Ooh, a bit awkward, that one.
How could it have been that deep? Like, fucking hell.
I agree. Why was it such a big deal? But I don't know. I guess, yeah.
Hey, if you're listening, what was a big deal?
Yeah, you're a strange one. But yeah, that was really strange. I never been in that situation before because usually, right, like, I guess like when you're with friends, you want to kind of have a good relation with like their significant others as well. Like those are what you kind of want to do. But yeah, that didn't really work out in that situation. And I take no responsibility, but I felt like I'm somewhat responsibility.
I think if you don't get along with your friend's partner, you're kind of causing an issue there. Like, I feel
probably, yeah. But who's causing the issue? Is it them?
Yeah, no.
Or is it?
Yeah, also that. But
yeah,
I was like, I feel like that always causes, that creates a nasty like
tension. It creates tension for sure, because I think then even then later on, like if you want to do like friends events, like if someone's birthday, and then you kind of like
then you have to be like consider dynamics, and I'm like
pretend I like you. Yeah. So yeah, that was a bit of a strange kind of tense sort of third wheeling thing. So kind of from there, I decided it's not ever good to be in that situation. But yeah.
The next section is call out / nomination. So you could basically nominate one or many people to hopefully be a guest on in the future.
So I would like to call out my friend Vic Kemp, who is a digital illustrator. He's an artist. He's got his own socials as well. He's a great guy, very much. So he's a South Asian artist, actually. So he does a lot of work on Maharanis and female empowerment and so on. But he's also like just a normal dude, loves his art, loves playing Dawn as well. So yeah, I think he'd be a great person to be on your show.
Awesome. We'll get in touch when we release your episode. Last bit's like a shout out. So like basically anything you want to like plug, promote.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be great if anyone who's listening to this, check out my socials and so on if you're interested in learning a lot more about nursing life. And yeah, I think definitely check out my Instagram page, my YouTube, and anything else that I've got working on. Hopefully going to be launching a blog soon. So yeah, exciting things coming up. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here and on your podcast. It's been great. Definitely spoken about things that I haven't spoken about before as well, which is always really nice. But yeah, no, thank you guys.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good.
So my shoutouts are going to be Great Ormond Street Hospital and just one song, which is by M. Huncho and I think ENO or someone. It's called.
That's a good shout out there.
Yeah, the name is Heavy Duty. Definitely a banger. And yeah, go donate to charity if you can. And obviously check out the socials of Zara here.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out actually my new startup that I'm working for. It's in like the healthcare space of where it could be kind of appropriate. It's called Thriver. They do like home blood tests and then it gives you like information like on your like vitamins, like vitamin D if you're low in it, iron and a bunch of other stuff like that. So yeah, go check them out if that sounds of interest to you. But yeah, thanks Zara so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. It's been really great. Thank you.
Yeah, but nice meeting you as well.
Yeah, awesome. I hope everyone else like enjoyed the episode. And yeah, I guess we'll just speak to you next week. All right, guys. See ya.
Have a good day. See ya. Bye.
Turn around in the mist, cause you might see something but fog. And allow all the tricks, girl, I can see nothing but love. You hit and you miss, girl, what's up? You spot and you red, I'ma call you Ladybug. Turn around in the mist, cause you might see something but fog. And allow all the tricks, girl, I can see nothing but love.